Hello, I'm Trudy, One Grounded Angel. This is the weekly angel card reading, which I do every week, and this week it's for Monday the 19th of February through to the 25th of February 2018. So I'll start shuffling the cards and we'll see what comes up. So these are not predictions of what you're going to face in your day. They are information to help you navigate whatever's going to come up for you. And it may be the meaning doesn't resonate for you right now, but on the day it either will or it will trigger something else in you that you need to be thinking about, or flag something, I guess, at the back of your mind. Sometimes people see these cards and they know instantly it's for someone else in their life, and that's your purpose, is to be a conduit for it. Anyway, Monday we're starting off with a beautiful, what I call Leo energy, heart chakra, because Leo is a sign all about the heart. It doesn't actually have that kind of reputation. It's known as a leadership card, which it is, leadership sign, sorry, which it is, but it's leadership with courage and with heart. So if you think of Barack Obama was a Leo, classic example there. But coming back to the heart chakra, all of the chakras get blocked by fears or negative energy, or blocks that have formed in our childhood. And the way that we get past fear is we don't destroy it, because you can't destroy it. It never goes away. You try to circumvent it or go around it. And opening your heart is one of the best ways to do that. So waiting for a fear to vanish before you act is, you're going to be waiting a long time, probably forever. So we need to keep going in spite of the fear. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Susan Jeffers' book remains as relevant today as it was when it was written, I think, in the 80s or whatever. I have a very well-worn copy on my bookshelf, which I should probably reread for some of my most treasured books I try and reread. I haven't reread that one for a little while. But coming back to the heart chakra, the main blocks are around grief and loss. So that makes sense. If you've lost someone close to you in some way, your heart shuts down a little. You naturally put up these energetic walls to stop you from feeling that hurt again. You're like, well, I love this much and this is what happened, so I ain't going through that again. Basically, that's what the heart does. Well, it's not what the heart does, it's what your energy does. The heart wants to love no matter what. So the challenge for us is to see that pain, to sit in those emotions, and to resolve when the healing has happened. This is not instant. Resolve eventually to be opened up again to love. Not just romantic. Any sort of bereavement, for example, is going to affect the way you relate to your friends, for example. So platonic relationships, self-love, all those sorts of things can suffer. So look for where there might be blocks around your heart today. Are you still hurting over a hurt that, it's not the right way to put it, but are you still hurting over a wrong that has been done to you, maybe in romance, maybe in some other way? Are you maybe still grieving for someone? Because grief is something that goes on and on. It's not like it lasts a month and then you're okay. And sometimes you think you've resolved it, it can come back again. That's just the nature of grief. The other sorts of things that can block our hearts are shame. I mean, that doesn't typically come up for the heart chakra, to be honest, but I'm just painting in broad brushstrokes here. Anything around shame can stop us from opening our hearts fully. Mostly it's just fear of being hurt again. I know, certainly in terms of romantic relationships, you can censor your words, avoid difficult conversations, all those sorts of ways to try and avoid the possibility of being rejected or being hurt again. And actually that just keeps you from connecting fully, because the nature of any relationship over the course of years or longer is it's going to keep getting deeper. That's how connection works. It doesn't stay stagnant. And if you are staying stagnant, maybe you're not stepping in fully. I guess leaning in, to use a popular term. So look at where your blocks are to love. I have talked for a long time about that one. Sorry. Tuesday. I've got a lot to say. The heart chakra is a big one. Oh, the card just did a backflip. It's like a Winter Olympics contender listening. How appropriate that I was just talking about communication and relationships. One of the biggest issues we have with listening is that we are more interested in thinking about how we are going to respond than we are in fully letting the person listen. To use a George Michael album reference, we need to listen without prejudice. So often we are listening in a way that expects the person to say a certain thing, or or thinks instantly, oh, this is related to that, and we're not actually listening with an open mind or an open heart, really. So this is asking you to be really aware of the way you listen to others. We can all do better in this, even if you're not someone who interrupts, or you're not someone who is talk. We all need to do better at listening, and particularly when we're constantly plugged into our phones right now. When your attention is scattered like that, you can't be fully engaged in what the other person is saying. And this is something my boyfriend pulls me up on all the time, because I am a shocker for being one eye on the phone and trying to look up something else or concentrate on something else. And I just can't do it. I'm terrible at multitasking, and actually research shows that most of us are, but I am particularly bad despite being a woman. So that's listening. I guess the other thing I should mention with that card is it's often about listening to your intuition. Very often when people come to me for a reading, or even when they probably ask you for advice, the people in your life, they often know what they need to do or what they want to do, particularly if it's around a decision they've got to make. They're just scared to commit to that, or their brain is telling them, oh, but what about this, and introducing all these other complicating factors, when actually you already know what's right. So listening to your intuition is certainly relevant for helping you to really drill down to the truth or the heart of the matter. I've used the word heart there deliberately because I do think it's connected to this. So one of the main obstacles to listening to the intuition or hearing it, well, trusting it is obviously is also an issue, but one of the main obstacles to listening to it is the fact that not only are we distracted, but we have a lot of noise in our brains. So being still, that's why meditation is one of the best things you can do for connecting to your intuition. Being around nature, just sitting in stillness, it's all helpful. Wednesday, let's move on before I start talking in circles, which is not unusual for me. If you've listened, oh goodness, I don't know if you just saw that, but it's just throwing up two cards. Very awkward. Okay, you are profoundly clairvoyant. This is in partial truth that's connected to this in terms of listening to your intuition. So I'm not going to go back through those messages again, except to say it's reminding you or confirming that the messages you've been hearing from your intuition are accurate, so go with them. Now, some of you are also being called to develop your intuitive abilities more, perhaps in a professional capacity, such as what I do, or in some other way. Yeah, they're really just asking us to go deeper into those messages and to really trust them. Now, the other card I got, this is only going to apply to a very small number of people. Indigo children are children who are born with spiritual abilities. It's the simplest way I can put it. They're often misdiagnosed as, not misdiagnosed as being on the spectrum. They could also be on the spectrum, but often that kind of inability to behave in certain social, to conform to social kind of expectations around behaviour. That can often be a hallmark of indigo children, but not always. Now, of course, children grow up, so there are indigo adults as well, but this card specifically talks to children. And interestingly, I got this card earlier today with a reading I was doing, and the angels told me then it was come up today, and I'd forgotten all about that until this moment. What I love about this card, I don't know how well you can see it, but it's a child looking back and seeing a unicorn on the back of his bike. And so, I mean, I think that is such a beautiful illustration, not only because it's so full of the colour indigo, but because it illustrates so beautifully how we see things that are not really there, but that doesn't mean they're not real. And that is the problem with indigo children. They are seeing things and seeing messages, receiving messages, getting visions, or whatever it is that are real. But if they tell adults, they'll be told they're making it up, or it's just their imagination. Your imagination is your intuition. It's really important. If you do any creative work, you'll know that. Your imagination is the ideas you get, and they are given to you from the universe. You are just a vessel for that, or a channel, really. So if you are seeing this card right now, chances are there's someone in your life, it could be a child, could be an adult, who is an indigo child. And if that speaks to you, I recommend you Google it. Now, some of the information out there about indigo children is completely overwhelming, a bit freaky, I think I would say, and frankly not all that helpful. But you will find something in there that will resonate with what you're seeing in your child or your friend. the main thing that indigo children need to know is that it's okay to be different, and that is not a message our society sends out. I wish it did. I've been different all my life and constantly tried to fit in. It doesn't work, and that's because we're not meant to fit in. We're meant to be ourselves, and to make sure that these children are supported, that they are absolutely taken out of any situation in which they're bullied, and they're believed when they're talking about that. They're not accused of making it up, and that they are allowed to go down whatever rabbit hole they go down in terms of visions or whatever they're describing to you. Now, I don't know about you guys, I had an imaginary friend when I was a child. From what I can make out, every kid did. There is a school of thought in spirituality that imaginary friends are real, and they are actually visions that we see, or they are spirits we see, or even angels. Look, I don't know if that's true, but it certainly makes sense to me, because when I think about those memories, they seemed so real. It didn't seem like something I could have fabricated in my young childlike brain. And because you're told they're not real, they start to fade away and you don't see them anymore. So that's something really interesting to consider when it comes to a child's imagination, because that is the time we are most intuitive, we are most tuned into the other world and to the divine, is when we're in our childhood, because we haven't had society tell us that none of that stuff is real. So let's move on. Friday, 11 minutes already. Trying to make these shorter. It's not going well, is it? Friday. Is it? Yeah. Oh no, sorry, it's Thursday. I got 2 cards for the last one, that's why I was confused. So, I don't know if it's because I had the day wrong. I'm not feeling too good about this deck, but maybe it is right. Thursday, spend time alone in nature, meditating around your desires and intentions. Very, very relevant for you if you're facing a decision. They're saying some of you are still not really committing to the goals that you set out at the start of the year. Whether they were New Year's resolutions or not, it doesn't matter. Around the New Year is the time we start doing that kind of life review, life kind of analysis, and thinking about where we want to be going. Whatever you were focusing on around that time, some of you have not been acting on it. And remember, the best way to get the universe on board is to take action. The universe responds to action. So talk to your intuition and get some greater clarity around that. Being outside of nature is a huge, huge help for that. If you live in a city like me, you can get stuck into the cycle of just being in air conditioning and in the concrete jungle and forget about how healing nature is. It really is. I really recommend spending more time in nature, and I recommend it to myself as well. I am not doing a very good job on that front. So despite living in one of the world's most beautiful cities, I don't get out to the beaches, to the parks nearly enough. So you can just do this with meditation. I know some of you are in North America, it's freaking cold up there. Meditation at home is totally fine as well. And if you are a reluctant meditator, or you think you suck at it, or you think you just can't do it for whatever reason, try an app to help you. Everybody is okay at meditating. You're not terrible at it. It's just the brain is telling you you're not good at it. The critical brain, and also because some of us are trying to create an environment where we don't, where we switch off our brain and go, I can't do it. Of course you can't do it. No one can switch off the brain. It's impossible. It's like trying to slay fear. It doesn't happen. You can't get to that point. So if you're waiting till you achieve total stillness, and then you think you're in the zone, good luck. That's all I can say. Meditation is really just about accepting whatever experience you're having, and there's some really great apps. 10% Happier is an excellent one if you are a skeptic, and the other one is Headspace, which is brilliant. Friday. And if you've fallen off the meditation train, as I do from time to time, get back on it. Okay, this card, Mending. I just love the beautiful illustrations on these. Please don't look at my terrible nails, they're so bad. So Mending, it might be about some repair that you need to do in a relationship. If you've had words with someone recently or spoken out of turn, just on a separate note, we are approaching a Mercury retrograde. Sorry, don't shoot the messenger. So that is a time certainly when these sort of miscommunications can happen. Maybe some of you need to repair something in terms of your sense of self. You need to do some repair work around your self-esteem and your confidence. Particularly if you've had a disappointment lately, they're saying some of you need to process that and get to a place of acceptance and get back to it. It's really about this idea of, they're telling me, of coming around back, or almost circling forward to where you started. I'm not going to say circling back, because you've learned an important lesson, so you're not going backwards, you're actually going forwards. So the other things, it might be about repairing, anything where you feel like you've got a disconnect, or you're off center with it, trying to repair that. And sometimes the ways that we try and repair things is by fixing everybody else or getting them to conform to where we're at. But no, that's not what this is about. It's about trying to repair where you're at, getting to a point of acceptance, maybe forgiveness, maybe setting some boundaries. That's a big one for a lot of you, I know. So yeah, where we can fix things, that's the simplest way I can put that one. Yeah, there's a lot I could say about that one. I will spare you. I might actually, when I go to put the card up, I'll see if I can give it a bit more space. I'm just conscious with Instagram, which is the primary way people find me, that it's a visual medium. People are there for quick grabs or pictures. They don't want a long blog, so I try not to go into too much detail. But look, if I feel that there's more I need to say with that one, I will perhaps elaborate on the Facebook page, which is kind of more conducive to wordiness. And because I have a background as a journalist and as a sub-editor or a copy editor, it's known in the US, I am trained to be very brief and succinct. So I'm not someone who's overly waffly, I don't think, but sometimes the nature of a card is there are so many multiple meanings, and people are coming at this from different life stages, ages, all sorts of, different lived experiences. So I try to be broad, but I also don't want to lose people by being too broad. It's a delicate balance sometimes. Saturday, healing work. Now, energy healing speaks to Reiki, acupuncture, kinesiology, all those sorts of things, chakras, sound healing, gong healing, kundalini yoga, all those sorts of things are forms of energy healing. So if you've been thinking about doing those, this is confirmation that those would be healing for you. And don't forget, we've already had a card about the chakras, so we've got a focus here around energy. Now, they are telling me with this card, what's relevant to most of you is this word healing. So it's not necessarily energy healing. They are saying to me emotional healing for a lot of you. So if you have an opportunity, it is a Saturday, to spend some time alone reflecting, maybe writing in a journal. One of the most therapeutic things you can do is write down what's going on without judgment again. It's incredibly cathartic. So some time to get some emotional balance back and really reconcile how you've been feeling, to exercise some self-care. Make sure that you always tell yourself that it's okay to feel whatever you feel, because if you're going to layer on emotions like guilt or shame, that's completely unhelpful. I know it's human nature, but try not to judge yourself for whatever you're feeling. Just try and work towards getting some equilibrium in terms of getting those energies moving, because the thing about emotions, it's energy in motion, emotion. Emotions need to move. You can't have them get stagnant. That's when you get real issues happening. They start to compound, and then this sort of sense of despair can ensue. I call it a negative thought spiral. And one of the writing is certainly one of the best ways you can get those energies moving. Being around water also helps. So in the zodiac, the water signs are the most emotional. The Cancers in particular, Scorpio and Pisces. And even if you're not one of those signs, you may have the major planets in one of those signs. So and the reason they're called water signs is because of that connection with emotions. You think about the tide coming in. Sometimes we can feel like we're overwhelmed with emotions. Things get pulled away from us. So there's always emotion, motion, not emotion, sort of language used around emotions, and it's because we want them to move. And sometimes that sounds negative because there's a lot of them moving towards us, but that will always move past as long as we let it, as long as we're not trying to block ourselves off towards it, which can often happen when we're grieving. We think, if I start crying now, I'll never stop. Or if we just let them, if we let them ourselves drown, I guess, if I'm going to go deep into this water analogy. And the thing is, you don't end up drowning. Usually you find you can float once you face things. It's trying to avoid them that can be worse. Anyway, I've gone way too deep down that rabbit hole. So really think about ways you can bring yourself the healing that you need today. So Sunday, 20 minutes. Sometimes I get weeks where there's just, the cards are really to the point, and other times there's a lot of dimensions, and this is one of those weeks. So Sunday life review, how timely. I was just talking about that. I was mostly talking about it in regards to the start of the year, but there's never not a good time to review your life. Sometimes that can be motivated by circumstances. Maybe you lose your job or are made redundant, etc., or a relationship ends. Those are the times we typically do a life review. We get ill, but it doesn't have to be prompted by anything major. You can do that at any time. I often recommend it around the full moon or of your sign. So because that is a time for letting go. Actually, it's probably more around the new moon would be even better, because that is a time for sowing the seeds for what you want to create, and over the next 6 months. Everything in astrology is 6 months. So at the end of March, I know it's actually, I can't even remember where the moons are at, but I will I'll post a link to that when I put this up, because that might be a time that you can think about setting some goals, or maybe I'll just mention who's coming up for this, but you don't have to wait for that. You can do it anytime. The key questions to ask yourself when doing a life review is, what is working, what is not working, and also come back to your values. What are my values? For me, it's connection. It is integrity. That's a major one. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot, but respect, also really important, and in particular in regards to relationships and the way I'm treating other people. So if you align what you're doing with your values, if they are out of alignment, that's going to prompt some questions for you. For example, if you are doing a job, as I did, that goes against what you believe in, that's going to make you feel icky. It's going to make you feel on an energetic level out of sorts. To give you an example, I used to know a girl many years ago who got a job in IT for a cigarette company. She got paid a lot of money, and to my knowledge, she was okay about that. I'm not judging her. For me personally, I couldn't do that. I just couldn't. It doesn't match with my value system, and that's okay. Everybody's got to make their own decisions about this sort of thing. What else can you ask around life review? You can come back to the goals you set and look at whether you're on track with that. Remembering what I said about action. Action is so important. The universe doesn't hand you things on a silver platter. You have to go out and go after them. So sometimes just starting, even if you're not sure if you're going in the right direction, just starting is enough. So look at what actual steps you can take to manifest those goals and get things shifting for you. The card also does come back to emotional healing, and I'm not just saying that because I was literally just, it's top of mind because I was literally just speaking about it, but to read you the message of the card, and you'll notice when I post these on social media, I actually don't always go with what's written on the card. I tune into what's coming through that I'm receiving and put it in my own words. But what it does say here is take inventory of your life and resolve to change or heal anything that is unbalanced. So balance is not my favorite word, because I think it's quite normal to be out of balance, and I think striving to be in balance can be really unhelpful and damaging and unrealistic. But in this case, because the message about healing is coming through here, and again about taking action. So where you are blocked rather than unbalanced, I would say, or where you're getting stuck. So things like, you can't stop thinking about how angry you are at someone, or you can't stop thinking about how your life would have been better if you'd only taken this job or not moved to this place, or whatever it is. So it could be healing around letting go there. Release is often significant. Okay, now I just remembered one of the moons. It was Aquarius last week. New moon in Aquarius, which is always when the Chinese New Year starts. Bit of trivia for you. Okay, the next one will be Pisces, because they always line up with the sun sign, and we're heading into Pisces, a water sign. Okay, so I think one of the themes here for the week is about emotional healing, and really you can see a connection between those cards and this one here around mending. Oh my goodness, I keep looking at my nails, they're so disgusting, sorry. I really need to take that nail polish off. Or certainly with the heart, that's quite a strong theme, I would say. And also these cards here speak to your intuition, your connection with your intuition, and really listening to it, really trusting it, of course, is the other thing, and being able to work with that. So, and I think this card here is in line with that, because it's almost bridging the gap between emotional healing, telling you where you're stuck and what you can do to resolve that, and giving you messages about, about resolving it, or about things that you need to start working towards, or the direction you need to start taking some action. That's it for the week. Quite a big week. I'll post those on my social media. If you're not already following me, my Instagram is @OneGroundedAngel, and my Facebook page is called One Grounded Angel. You can reach me at my blog. It's www.onegroundedangel.com. There's a booking form there. Please do not DM me. I can't tell you how many messages I get. To be honest, I stopped checking it as much because I got some offensive messages. But if you are messaging me saying hello, I'm not going to reply. It's a business account. I'm very busy. If you want to reach me, either tell me what you want, or please, I would prefer that you went about it the proper way, honouring my process and actually going to the website. I do even say in my bio, please, no DMs. Doesn't stop people. Anyway, those are probably not my people. Thank you so much for your time, for your love, for your support, and for your contribution. I love the feedback from you guys. Take care, and I'll read for you again next week.